Good evening and welcome back to Let's Play The Path. When we left off last time, we finished Scarlet's story, so now we've only got two sisters left. Ruby, you're up next. Alright. Come on, game. We're loading up awfully slow there. Okay, there we go. And let's skip this part. Beautiful. Look at her. She's a sassy kind of gal. Shoes don't match. How does... those must be like a thigh highs that she has on, because or maybe she's really creative and she's got like a pair of nylons and she just clipped one leg out. Yep, face is definitely looking like she's put on, yeah, her skin tone isn't quite matching her chest and her arms, so I think she's put on like kind of a white sort of ghostly sort of makeup. She's definitely going for a goth look. Alright, let's head out here. Oh, now what map markers do we have? The lake. Only the lake? Whatever, we'll make it happen. I'll just go this way. The map tiles, so it doesn't really matter which direction I go. Alright. That's the lake. Okay, and we have the field of flowers as well. You can see it over on the right. Wolf dead ahead. Let's not mess around with that yet. Let's also look at... Okay, yeah. Just 6 items left to find total. So we're almost there. I've been thinking about this more, and I don't think the girls... I mean, the imagery and the sound, it seems like the girls are dying, but I don't think they really are. I think it's more to do with... like a bit of a loss of innocence, a bit of growing up, and it doesn't necessarily... See, because I played Carmen's first, I had in my mind, and because I've heard this before about the Red Riding Hood story, that it's more of like a kind of a sexual thing. Girls growing up, you lose your innocence, virginity, or whatever, but really I think it's more than that. I don't think it necessarily just has to be sexual. I think it's losing any sort of childish naivete. And I think that the girls going through, when they meet their wolves, it's like events in their lives where something happened that killed a part of them that had been innocent before. And it's not always a bad thing, it's just growing up. But it's like when I said before that when I was a kid, I would run through the woods. I'd walk all over the place. I walked all over town, I'd walk out in the fields with my dog, I'd walk out late at night. I didn't think anything of it. You know, I never really thought anyone could possibly really mean me harm. And then as you get older, there's events, like nothing really bad, but just little things along the way. Like one thing, so my sister and I, my next younger sister, we took a couple road trips, 2 years in a row, where we went just all over the place. We started out, the first year we drove down to Kentucky, and then we went all the way over to the ocean from there, swooped in a big circle to come back home. And the second time we hit like all of the states in the Northeast. We drove all over the place, just the two of us. And so the first trip we went, and we got caught in a really nasty storm. We started out in Kentucky with a friend of ours. There was a festival going on, this music festival, and you could camp there. And it started raining, so we thought, well, we'll sleep in the car tonight, and then we'll leave and start our road trip the next day. And our friend was going back to Michigan. And at like 2 at night, a friend's banging on our windows. Oh, the rain's coming down so hard, people are getting stuck, you've got to go. And we were like, well, where are we going to go? And he said, well, just follow this road, make a right, go into town, and just pull in like a supermarket parking lot and sleep there. So we followed his instructions, we turned right. It turns out you need to go left to go to town. So we got really lost in the middle of this nasty, nasty storm. We'd heard afterwards that there were tornadoes and everything else in the area. Visibility was terrible. We could barely see as my sister's driving along the car. There's lightning flashing. It was pulsing like strobe lights. We finally made it onto the Bluegrass Parkway, and we thought, well, we'll find a rest stop and sleep there. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. And now I think the idea of sleeping at a rest stop is kind of scary, because it seems like a little bit of a secluded sort of area, kind of a prime area for someone to try to attack you. But at the time, it just seemed like a good plan. Well, we couldn't find any, so we ended up instead, we found a church. And we just pulled over in the church parking lot. This was a Saturday night. And we just slept there. Oh crap, this is her wolf? Well, we'll turn around. That seems like he's moving a dead body through the woods, but maybe not. Alright. There's such beauty in decay. Rust is lovelier than paint. Though I doubt old age will happen to me. Does that mean she thinks she's gonna die young, or she just doesn't really believe she'll get old? Alright, there's a little jack-o'-lantern in the field of flowers, so we're going there. Oh, the scarecrow in the middle. Okay, that's going to be important to her. So I think it must have been so strange for the people going to church the next day. You know, they pull in for service, and there's a car with Michigan license plates and 2 young women sleeping in it. But no one knocked on the window, no one asked us anything. They let us be. It worked out fine. But that's the kind of thing that I don't know if I would do again now. There was another part later on in the trip. We went to Washington, D.C., and we were planning on just seeing all the sights. Let's see. A scarecrow and no birds. Efficient. Wish I had one like that to keep what away? The idiots away. But we just wanted to park somewhere and see the sights. Well, it turns out you can't do that. If you want to see the sights in D.C., you need to stop with a tour group and let them drive you in, and they'll take you to all the places to see. Because there's just no parking. Oh, she's taking his head! Ruby! You took the scarecrow's head! Oh, come on. And I can't read this. Ah. If you give me your head, you will please me so much more. From a silver platter, I shall eat you. It's a little macabre. Alright, let's see what else we can find for her. So we got very, very lost, and we drove all over the place, and it's traffic like I've never seen before. There was a point where we were driving down a road, and any public lots we saw were full, and all of the parking at the side of the road was full. It was like a 4-lane road, one way, and there was an ambulance a ways behind us with the sirens and everything going off, and we couldn't pull over for it because there was nowhere for anyone to pull over to. It was insane. I've never seen that before. But we finally ended up at a gas station. And this wasn't the kind that you could go in. This was not in a nice part of town. It's one of those gas stations that it's just a little square box with a bulletproof glass that you slide your payment under. And so we went to ask the guy at the counter, like, just where can we park? Just somewhere to park. We're just tourists and we just want to see the sights. And this guy came up behind us in line and said, oh, I know where you can park. And we spun around and he had a taxi cab, and we thought, oh great, this is someone who's going to know, because, you know, obviously taxi driver has to know the area. And then so he's chatting to us, oh, is it just you two? And my sister, yep, it's just us on a trip on our own. And I was like, oh, we shouldn't have said that. Now this is what I call nice weather. All we need is a bit of rain and some lightning. Well, I do like a good storm myself, Ruby. I'll agree. But his face just lit up. He smiled beatifically. He was like the cat that got the cream. And he says, oh, just follow me back. You can park at my house. I live close to everything. Just park there and you can walk right in and see everything. And this was the first time in my life that I ever really felt that someone meant me harm. And it was easy to get away from. We got in our car. He went right. We went left. We left D.C. entirely. We went on to Gettysburg after that. But it was just, it's an odd feeling. I'd never had that feeling before, that someone, if given a chance, truly would hurt me. And he was a creepy guy. Like, he asked us our names, he shook my hand, he dipped in and sniffed my shoulder, and just something about the manner of him. I think he saw us as a prime opportunity. Just 2 young girls out on our own. And there were a lot of women, especially when we were more down south, a lot of women, if they're, oh, is it just you two girls? Yep, we're on a vacation. They say, I'd never let my daughters do that. They were all worried about it. And that's something that comes with age, that you have that worry. For us, the world was still to be explored. It was still an adventure. So that was one incident where you kind of I feel a little bit of wariness, a little bit of caution set in, where I thought, that guy, if things had gone differently, if we'd just trusted and gone with him, I think something bad would have happened. So that's a bit of innocence dying there. And there's other things too. I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be danger. It can be things like, when I was younger, I wasn't really raised religious. It was, for years, my parents, they told us some stories, and there was like general talk about being a God, but it wasn't really, like, we didn't go to church or anything. And then for a time, there was a church just a quarter mile down the road from my house, and my friends went, so I went with my friends. And there was a time that I was going, and, I was doing the whole church thing, I was a believer, all of that. I was pretty into it. And then as I got older, I was going right along, it was okay. And then one day, some Mormons came to my house, and they asked if they could come in and talk. And I've never been good at turning people away, so I was like, okay. Because they said, well, we just want to talk. Well, let's talk about it. And they said to me that their founder had come to a point where he wanted to worship God correctly. And so he asked God, well, what should I do? There's all these different denominations. Which way is the correct way to worship you? And according to their faith, God spoke to him and gave him a whole different set of rules to follow, and that's where Mormonism came from. But they pointed out in the Bible, and I wish I could remember what the verse was, but it was a verse that essentially said, if you ever have a question and you don't know something, just ask me and I'll answer you. And it was something that God told somebody. Just ask and I'll answer. And I thought, well, okay, that makes sense. So I prayed for a sign, and I didn't get one. And it seemed like a really crucial thing to know. What's the proper way to worship you? But there was no answer, and I realized from there that I personally have never felt anything when I've prayed. I felt, like when you're in church and you're singing the songs, woo, she's a graffiti artist too. There's a power that you sometimes feel. In particular, the music festival that I went to with my sister and our friend. Paint drips like tears. Gravity pulls everything down. It's only natural. Fantastic. Oh, you don't need to pick it up again. It's okay. Bread? Alright, anyhow. So there's power I felt in groups. The festival we'd gone to, it was a Christian festival, it was a Christian music festival. And there's a point at the end of it where everyone gathers together and takes communion together. And it's like hundreds of people all together taking communion. And that's a very powerful thing. But it seems to me, looking at it now, that it was never the power of any sort of God or anything spiritual I felt. It was just the power of a group of people gathered together with the same intent. And honestly, to me, that seems like the same kind of power that sometimes you find, like when people riot and the mobs are going crazy and people seem to get swept up and they do things they wouldn't normally do, that mob mentality. So I think it's the same power either way. It's just the power of a group of people acting towards the same goal. So it can be a good thing or a bad thing. And really that was what lost my faith, that I asked God the proper way to worship and I didn't get an answer. And I have just drifted further and away from religion since then. And this is not something, like, please, if you're religious, I know this might kind of bother you, the lost sheep and all that, but don't feel bad about it. It's something that I have a degree of peace with. I'm not ruling out that there's a possibility there could be a God. There could be. I can't disprove one, so there may well be one. But if there is, then this God knows what my terms are for us to have any sort of relationship. I feel at peace with where I'm at religiously. But anyhow, that incident, talking with those Mormon ladies, that incident and the loss of my faith from that is, to me, it feels kind of like the incidents that these girls are going through, where it's something that has a large impact on you. It's something that a part of your innocence kind of dies, and you grow from it, and you move on, and you're okay after it, but you're not quite as carefree after as you were before. So that's what I feel like the events are that this is showing us. Men are like motorcycles. You just drive them to where you want to go. Well, where you want to be. And then let somebody else take care of them. That's... My, what an attitude to have, Ruby. Do we have any little special symbols on the map for her? We don't. Okay, well, we'll just keep wandering. So, that's my thoughts at this point, anyway. It's not that they're literally dying. I think it's more just a piece of them dying. You know, life is less like that. You learn some hard lessons along the way. Bit by bit, you learn caution. You learn that there's danger in the world. It's a sad thing. I wish the world weren't a dangerous place. But it's not a bad thing. It's just part of life. Okay, we already saw the piano. She had no interest. But yeah, the more I think of it that way, the more I think of just... I can pinpoint certain experiences looking back now that I have enough time away from them, enough distance, where I can realize that I did change some after the fact, that it impacted me. Not that it was a bad thing, it was just, you know, it changed how I am in certain situations. It sets in some of that, the wariness and the caution. When you know that bad things can happen. That doesn't necessarily mean they will, but when you're more aware that they can, you try to take a little more care to ensure they don't. Alright, is there anything here that you would like to interact with Ruby? What do you think? She doesn't seem to really care. Well, she's not going to find the spider web because her sister Scarlet destroyed it. I'm curious to see what she would say if I could get to it. There we go. Did I get it? Maybe not. Alright, let's keep moving. I guess this is kind of a sad game in that respect, or at least it's making me feel a little down. I don't want to be a kid again, but sometimes I miss the fearlessness I had when I was a kid. It's a dead thing. That seems kind of like your style, Ruby. Nothing to say? Turn, please. No, I think she just doesn't care. It's almost like there's something over here. Yep, I think that's a flower. sure we're not passing anything interesting on the way. Oh, hey. Come here. Where's she going? Thanks for helping out, girl in the white dress. Alright. Sitting on wheels, paralyzed soul, nowhere to go, fast. Don't come close if you want something from me. Whatever it is, I probably don't have it. Just leave me alone. Fantastic. Only 4 to go? I'm really excited about that. Okay, girl in the white dress, if you would care to lead us to anything else. Do you care about this, Ruby? Nope, just your sister, huh? So of what we have left, probably at least one of them is going to be Carmen specific. But we'll do our best to find anything we can with Ruby. No, you don't care about the well? All right, no worries. I feel like she would really like the graveyard if I could figure out where that's at. Well, maybe if we follow these flowers, that'll take us somewhere useful. Hey, there's our girl again. By the car. Yes, the car was important to her, wasn't it? Yeah, let's go check that out. Alright. What have you got for us, Ruby? Engines and friends. Turn them on, turn them off. Life, death. Are they so different? Alright, she tends to just take us back to the path, so we'll let go for now. If she wants to run off towards any other pieces for our basket, ooh, that would be awesome. Alright, this is the... Man, look, I got all of the shaded squares, which doesn't seem to mean that much, but it still excites me. I still want to look some more. I don't think we'll be able to find all 3 items that are missing, but perhaps with any luck we'll find at least 1 more, and then maybe 2 for Carmen. I want to at least look a little more than I have, just so that I can feel that I've found everything that I can find with Ruby. So let me go ahead and wind the episode down here. As always, please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this. Come back next time. We'll look a little more with Ruby, and then I think we'll run her over to Grandma, or to her wolf, and then we'll finally get started on Carmen.